Welcome back. We are on today on the Tour for Dish It podcast. I'm Angie S., the founder of angies.com, link in the show notes, where I'm a health coach. So if you want to work with me, you can get in touch via the website or email me directly at hello@angie-s.com. And if you want to support this show, it's 100% free. All you need to do is rate, review, subscribe to the show on iTunes, follow it on Spotify, and for all of the other platforms, whichever way you show love is how you can support this show. And it's absolutely free for you to do, and it takes like 2 seconds. So today is just you and me. This episode is around COVID-19, but it's not an alarming, it's not a fear-mongering one. All I want to do is to address what you can do and how to reduce this out-of-control feeling of panic around the coronavirus, COVID-19. And it's important because there's a lot of noises, misunderstandings, and assumptions around COVID-19. And so in this episode, I'll give you actionable info on how to support and boost your immune system, the details they miss on hand washing, tips when working from home and having a structure that supports you, how to beat mental fatigue, how to shop for isolation, and also a guideline on how to relieve initial symptoms. I'll follow this by some stats, and I'll also give you a link in the show notes on how you can download your free PDF that has it all listed out for you, including like how-to steps and details for your shopping for those who prefer this. And it'll basically be available at angie-s.com/COVID-19 in one word. So that's COVID-19. So angie-s.com/COVID-19. Okay, so you can download your free PDF there. And if you're worried it'll be too overwhelming, don't worry. That's why I divide this in 12 easy steps, known facts, and 0 crazy headlines, okay? And of course, you'll also have the free PDF download with all the info. So for some of you, if you prefer to look at those kind of information in writing, you can do that. So there's a lot of noise around the coronavirus, COVID-19. So here's some practical info on what you can do for your immune system. Okay, so first of all, the immune system is very complex and still highly misunderstood system. So most of what we know is still hypothetical. So please don't fall prey to anyone trying to sell you a miracle cure for the coronavirus. There is nothing scientifically proven in that regard as of today, okay? The signs, as you probably well aware of this, is, fever, ongoing cough, shortness of breath. You can also have like the aches and pains of what you would have possibly experienced from seasonal flu if you've had flu before. And so if you have those, you need to self-isolate. You need to call your local COVID-19 helpline for help and guidance. Okay, this will be different for whichever country you're in. So each country will have measures in place, hopefully, so that you can call them if you have the symptoms, and that each country has their own regulation. Okay. So now onto this episode. What you can do is help your immune system by 1, reducing stress. 2, stay active for like 3 hours a week. If you don't like the gym, you can walk, you can cycle. Walking after lunch is very good for you as well. Great for digestion. 3, you need to hydrate. If you drink so much that you're always peeing, make sure you add a pinch of Celtic or pink salt in the water, or a slice of lemon or cucumber or mint to avoid dehydration, okay? Just note that if you add herbs, don't leave them in the water for more than 6 hours, because that's when they start to release toxins. 4, get enough sleep. Go to bed before 11 p.m. if you can, or at least before midnight, okay? Through sleep, that's how your body rejuvenates, that's how your brain detoxes, that's how it's very good also psychologically, therapeutic. There's so many good reasons as why to go to sleep, why to go to bed early. And the reason why I give you the times of before 11 p.m., ideally 10, honestly. But okay, I know we're all busy, okay? But if you go to bed before those times, it helps you because your organs are also on the clock, okay? Think of it like the seasons, when vegetables or fruits come out naturally, when the sun goes up and sun goes down. It's the same for your body. Your body has a natural rhythm, okay? 5, eat a whole diet. So unless indicated otherwise by your medical doctor or your personal beliefs, what does that mean? A whole diet. So on your plate, aim for 50% vegetable or salad. Add your proteins like fish, chicken, beans, eggs, etc. And if you crave it, have some rice or some oats at breakfast or lunch, okay? 6, if you want to add probiotics, have it from food. So things like yogurt or kefir are best. Why? Because certain strains of probiotics can act on the wrong type of cell and suppress the immune system. This is why from food is best. Don't go and buy those unless again, it has been medically recommended to you. Don't go voluntarily go and buy capsules of probiotics, okay? Have them from food because of certain strains of probiotics can act on the wrong type of cell and suppress the immune system. And balance is key. You don't want an overactive or underactive immune system, okay? Number 7, vitamin D. So vitamin D is excellent to avoid inflammation. It's also great as a mood booster. I take it as a sublingual spray in the evening. So I spray it under my tongue around 7 p.m. between November and April when I remember. Just note that with vitamin D, if you take a strong dose, your doctor would have told you anyway that not to take it too late because it can sort of disturb your sleep a bit. Or some people have difficulty sleeping if they have really high vitamin D supplements, but they have to be super high. Like usually it's like the ones that they prescribe you. So anything you add in terms of supplements that has potency needs to be done in an informed way. Okay, so to give you an idea, excess vitamin A interferes with certain antibiotics. So check with your trusted medical professional as to what will cross-react because you'd be surprised. So to round up point 1 to 7, what makes you feel good reduces stress, which means that'll be good for your immune system. So if that means taking a vitamin C supplement, take it. It sounds contradictory to what I just said, but excess vitamin C gets excreted by the body, so no harm in taking one. You may just feed the pipes a bit more than you anticipated, okay? Just like expensive urine. But I think in this day, what's going on at the moment, better have expensive urine than no vitamin C, okay? So when you already know what to do and what feels best for your body, trust that and you'll be ahead of most people. Before I go over to point number 8, I just want to give you like an important information, which you probably already know now, but like I wouldn't be making this episode justice if I didn't say it. So what's important is that if you have any friends or family with a vulnerable immune system and or a chronic airways, or want to visit your elderly parents or grandparents, be aware you may be a carrier and expose them. Okay, and they are the ones who are at the highest risk, including fatality. So it is nice to visit, but it's kinder to postpone. Okay, it's nice to visit, but it's kinder to postpone till all of this goes over, which it will. So wait for now before you visit if you can. Side note, if you've also heard the well-known terms SARS come up in the media and not sure how it links to COVID-19, all it means is this, is that the novel coronavirus SARS-CoV-2 causes the disease COVID-19 that you're hearing about in the media at the moment. So now back to the 12 points. So now we're at point number 8, washing your hands. Is it all that good? Yes, but as much as it's prudent to wash your hands, be aware that overwashing can cause sensitive skins to crack around the nails and the knuckles, which then exposes you to pathogens, aka not good. Yeah? Look, if you feel better washing your hands that much more at the moment, I get it, do it. Just make sure you either moisturize your hands well or use a more hydrating hand wash or sanitizer product on your hands. And you can look for ingredients like olive oil, shea butter, aloe vera, almond oil, and so on. You know the usual suspects, okay? If you don't, drop me an email. I'm happy to have a look at them. Number 9, tips when working from home and having a structure that supports you. So, this is around the mental health, okay? This is around like, not going completely crazy. Because it is easy to do when you keep looking at the news and social media and it's too much. So a way to turn this around, and we may as well make the most of this time if you have to isolate, okay? No point, watching Netflix the whole time. Yeah, the first few days, do it, if that's what you need for a distraction. But then this is a time that we can use as an opportunity, okay? It will help. Like what I'm about to tell you is going to help alleviate the stress, gives you a healthy distraction at the same time. And the bonus to all of this is that relaxing is good for your immune system, okay? It's back to point number 1, reducing stress, okay? So, but if you are isolating, and obviously that you're not actually ill. If you're ill, you're not going to want to do the active stuff. But if you are isolating, so, because of COVID-19 and you've been asked to stay at home, if you're saving time on the commute, what you can do is, 1, you can keep active. So you can go for a walk in the morning or after lunch. You can set an alarm to get up from your desk every hour to take a break and stretch. If you normally commute, use this extra time to get the walk or exercise in the morning, or wake up without the alarm so you wake up refreshed and not stunned by the fucking alarm. So again, that's not very active, but it's great for the soul and it's great for your brain, okay? To get up when you actually naturally wake up is so good for you. So if you're normally a gym bunny, you can check YouTube. There are tons of free workout videos. So you can also download apps that give you at-home workouts. And so that was the keeping active part. And 2, you can actually cook now. Yeah, you've got time. If you're staying at home and you're not commuting, you can cook. So point number 10, mental fatigue. Stay away from social media. Do not click those crazy links. Find an account that does not talk about it all the time, or that does not talk about it at all, actually. It's a relief. So unless it's like a calm and reasonable update, do not follow account that are like making you so scared and always fearful, because there's a fine line between awareness and information overload, okay? I'll get to that again at the end in terms of what data to look at. So for the mental fatigue, take naps. You can take a bath. This is a good time as well to tune into what matters to you. Honestly, this is when you are kind of like forced to stay at home and you're not actually sick. So this is not if you actually do have COVID-19, because you'd have enough on your plate. You need to deal with stuff, okay? But what I mean is, like, when you're forced to stay at home, it's a really good time to figure out what you want. And there's this kind of like external pressure as well at the moment. You feel like you need to do something because, like, as we've just seen, like, shit can get weird, okay? When you look at, what's happening and people are worried, and it's so important to look at how can we be self-sufficient, financially, work-wise, like how can we do it so that it doesn't matter where we are in the world, we can work or earn money, all that kind of stuff. So but you can also tune into, like, what do you really want to do? Like, what actually makes you feel expansive? So that, okay? Something else you can also do, to beat this mental fatigue as well, is like catch up on some relaxing reading, nothing disease related or end of the world kind of type stuff. You don't want to do that. Just some relaxing reading, fun reading. You can watch some comedies or any genre that gives you an escape. Okay, if you feel it's an escape, because sometimes mental fatigue, like, you just don't want to read, you just want to like watch something, okay? Something that you don't need to be thinking about. I remember I used to like, sometimes like it's good to like watch things that have no meaning whatsoever, like completely like mindless stuff. So that's point number 10. Point number 11, what to store, have enough food that can last, okay? So here's a little shopping list. Again, that's all in the PDF. So I'm just going to go through them quick, okay? But you have those in the PDF download. So things that last: rice, canned or pickled vegetables like beetroots, peas, and so on. Make sure you have plenty of proteins at home to make sure you feel full. So, things that will last are like tinned fish, like tuna, mackerel. You can freeze fresh meat and fresh fish as well. You can have your beans as well, your chickpeas, all that kind of stuff. Frozen peas, berries, bananas. You can also freeze fresh ginger. Ginger with to help you relieve some of the symptoms, which I'll go back to on the next point. Filtered water. So if you have a water filter, great. Otherwise, bottled water. Garlic, canned pepper, or spicy chilies. You can freeze those too. Fresh lemons. If you're worried you're going to run out or they'll expire, you can buy bottled lemon juice. Ibuprofen or paracetamol or aspirin to relieve fever and flu-like symptoms. You may get seasonal flu, not necessarily COVID-19. So anyway, those are good to have at home anyway to relieve those kinds of symptoms. Cough medicine, honey, Vicks Vapor Rub. I use it on my chest, below my nostrils, and I add a teaspoon in boiled water for steam inhalation. Again, more on that in a minute. And chamomile tea. I'll explain that in a minute too. Oh, actually, my chamomile tea is obviously good for like mental fatigue, and if you're trying to relax and you're feeling stressed and anxious. So, point number 12, if you get ill, relieving flu symptoms. Now, important, very, very important there's a disclaimer. Seek medical advice. This is a general guideline only, as I do not know your individual case, okay? Follow COVID-19 regulations in your country. Currently in the UK, symptoms have to last 7 days or more before we get help. So this is why I'm including these, because anything under 7 days, this is what you can do. For treating a cough, and again, that's all on the PDF. For treating a cough, drink plenty of fluids, hot lemon water with fresh or frozen ginger, and honey. Honey especially is good for dry cough, so you can also just have honey. Throat lozenges if you have a dry cough. Rub Vicks Vapor Rub on your chest. Okay, so inhalations are very, very good, especially if you have mucus with your cough, okay? So this is how I do inhalation, because there are ways of doing it so that you don't make yourself worse. There's a way of doing it so it actually really, really works. So you can use eucalyptus leaf or chamomile leaves. For chamomile leaves, just empty the tea bag in the water. That's it. But my favorite is Vicks Vapor Rub, because that's really strong, I find. Have tissues by you. You'll likely feel the need to blow your nose. Grab a pan, add boiling water halfway up. Obviously, the pan has to be deep, not a frying pan, but like, a pan you'd make like soup in, for example. Add boiling water halfway up. And then, add one of the ingredients. So whether it was eucalyptus, chamomile, or like Vicks Vapor Rub. Vicks Vapor Rub, add like half a teaspoon. You can add more if you feel okay with it. But it's best to start with less and then build up to your preference. Then you put your towel over your head, and then you lean over the steam. You can use a spoon to stir when it doesn't feel as strong. It will help the vapor from the leaves or the Vicks Vapor Rub to come back up. Sometimes I add a second portion of whatever the ingredient you've used in the water if I feel like it. Now, when you're done with it, this is the trick. The trick with inhalations is to regulate your temperature afterwards. And it's really easy. If you don't, it can make you feel more congested. So this step is really important. It's easy, but important. So when you're done with it, when you're done with it, when there's no more steam, or when you just don't want to do it, basically. When you don't want to do it anymore, sorry. Lean away from the steam whilst you keep your towel over your face. Cover your face with a towel. Stay seated or find your bed to lie down whilst keeping your towel over your face. So be near your bed before you start the inhalation. Wait for your face's temperature to match the room's temperature. Now, how do you know it is? You know it's at the same temperature when your face isn't warmer than your hand touching it. It can take a few minutes depending how intense the steam was. So just check your cheek with your fingers and you'll know if they feel warm, you're not ready yet. If they start to feel normal, then you're good. So treating a fever. So here are the NHS guidelines. I've just taken straight from the NHS guidelines. So most fevers will improve of their own accord in a few days. However, there are a number of things you can do to help the uncomfortable feeling associated with a fever. 1, don't overdress. Wear loose, comfortable clothing and make sure the room you are in isn't too warm. You shouldn't attempt to make yourself feel cold either. Okay? 2, drink more fluids, avoiding alcohol as this can make dehydration worse. You sweat more when you have a fever, and drinking makes sure you won't get dehydrated. You should be passing urine approximately every 6 hours. A pale yellow urine means you're unlikely to be dehydrated. Honestly, I pass urine more than every 6 hours. I wouldn't be too hung up on that. Unless you go a lot, then that's a different issue, which if you have questions, you can just contact me and I can talk about it with you. Number 3, take a medicine that reduces fever. So that's where the paracetamol comes in, for example. So unless you're allergic or have been told by a healthcare professional that you can't take it, paracetamol, that kind of stuff is good to help reduce fever. So the last point I wanted to cover is if we should panic. So it's good to be aware, but information overflow will increase your stress levels. Remember point number 1, reducing stress is very good for the immune system. So when you have increased stress level, you are unable to make rational decisions. So the way I do this is I'm now very selective as where I go to for information. I've always been anyway, but now, after this whole, what feels like a frenzy and a mania, and it can be very scary to read a lot of the stuff, I only now read anything published by the NHS, Harvard and Oxford universities and their research. I will also look at World Health Organization. So I will say, obviously some of the research papers and publication, they may be a bit too advanced if you haven't got that kind of sort of training. But if you haven't got any scientific background, so any medical papers, research papers are difficult for most people to read. So, but they do publish things on their website that are actually made for the general public. So I would definitely, encourage you to have a look there. And I also look at the World Health Organization. So that's WHO. Now, if you want to look at data of the spreading of the disease, of the virus, but you want to keep your anxiety levels down by taking a break from the news and social media, I find that the graphs from informationisbeautiful.net useful. Obviously, note that many can disagree with the sources of these, and you still have to be able to read a graph and make sense of the data. But I find them really good. And the UK figures match the ones from the NHS UK. And I believe the Snowsport England also follow the figures from NHS UK data as well. I may be wrong, but their newsletter do refer to the NHS numbers. So I find it good. I find the Information is Beautiful website good because it's reasonable and it gives you a better overview than the screaming headlines that makes you want to pull your hair out, okay? So just know that the website goes down from time to time because it's obviously they have a lot of traffic there. But if you Google Information is Beautiful, COVID, it usually comes up that way if you can't access it directly on the site. That's it. So I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me via the website at angie-s.com or email me at hello@angie-s.com. All the links are in the show notes. Look, if you found this useful, please forward it on to someone who needs to read this. Much love, gusto, and health to you all. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back again next week. And next week, we'll move away from this topic unless there has been obviously some updates that I want to address. But we'll go back to the usual schedule. And that's our episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to rate, review, subscribe on iTunes, follow on Spotify, for all the other platforms. Whichever way you show love is how you can support this show. Drop me your questions or suggestions for future episodes via the website at angie-s.com or come and find me on Instagram. I have 2 accounts. One is Too Old for This Shit Podcast and the other one is Not Too Old For with the number 4. Links in the show notes. See you next week, and until then,
Using health inappropriately.